Good morning. So today is Sunday, and yes, I did the millennial pause because I'm a millennial. All right, that's what we do around here. Got to make sure the thing didn't cut off in the beginning. I mean, what are you gonna do? 30 some years of conditioning. It is what it is. So it's Sunday. I got a message. It's not really, a message. It's a video. I think it low key is a message. It started out as just going to be like me throwing up a video, and I was like, and I went to do it, and I was like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now. And then I watched a little bit of something else, and then that sort of got my wheels turned again. And then I sat down and I made a little outline. That's basically a sermon. So if you didn't go to church today, here's your church. So I even have a title for this, which is going to be the title for the video. I won't spoil it for you, or for me, I guess, because you're going to click on it. It's going to be the title. But I'll just say that I have seen a couple of videos now talking about this topic, and it just really seems to be the moment, the message of the moment. It's probably a message of all the moments, but in particular, I've come across this from people that don't even really talk about this. So um, instead of just saying, well, these videos already exist, I don't need to add mine, I too feel like this is something that we need to be talking about, which is basically um, walking in the spirit and not walking in the flesh. And basically, if you're walking in the flesh and you have been for a while and you didn't know that, stop immediately and go back to walking in the spirit. And that's literally all this is about, because the flesh is destroying um, the work of God and people. And so it's funny because, like, I don't know, when I heard this message, it sounded very apocalyptic and very, like, I don't know, it just sounded, um, maybe I was just like, I knew it was the Spirit speaking, so it just felt very scary. But this is like all over the Bible. And when I started doing my research for it, um, just to see, like, the support scriptures, like I was thinking, I was like, this is all over the Bible, but we never really focus on, um, we never focus on using it for this. We focus on using this type of stuff to justify why we can have a beer with dinner or whatever. We don't really use it to examine our entire functioning Christian system. So, um, so yeah, I just thought, let me give you the verses so you know what I'm preaching out of this morning. So Galatians 5, most popular. That's the verse that, if you walk in the Spirit, you won't gratify the flesh. Fruits of the Spirit are in that. That's the main one. Romans 8, also a good one. And I'm not giving you verses because you need to read the whole chapter. It is a letter after all, so read that whole joint. 1 Corinthians 2, also, Paul does a nice little rendition about the spirit and the flesh in that. James 4, another famous one. That's the one that has, resist the devil and he will flee from you. Interestingly enough, because I just reread that, and the context of that verse is not just like, here's a handy dandy tip. It's like, listen, y'all are, this is also where he's like, you don't have because you don't ask, and you don't ask God. Or it's like, you don't have because you don't ask God. And when you do ask, you don't get it because it's, your fleshly desires. And he's like, hey, maybe like resist the devil a couple of times and then maybe he'll go away. Like, that was the context. It wasn't like Jesus telling you, like, here's how to get rid of the devil. And like the context is really like a little more snarky. It's like, Stop gratifying your flesh. Resist the devil and he'll flee from you. Do this and do that. It's like put down the thing so that you can have a clear mind. It's like that type of context. But anyway, so that I found that pretty funny. So yeah, I will say though that we do say walk in the Spirit a lot. Walk in the Spirit. Do things by the Spirit. If you live by the Spirit and whatever, work by the Spirit, whatever by the Spirit, and you're like, okay, but what is that? What is that? What are we even talking about? And my mind goes back to this revelation that I had a while ago, and I don't remember what brought it on. I feel like it was something political going on, something, I don't know, political turmoil going on. And I just remember the moment where I realized, like, oh, this is what it means to be a Christian, because we were literally, when you're going against the grain of the world or your country or wherever you're doing, and when you have been cut off, you've been penalized for going against what the rest of the world is doing. You're being persecuted, or early church, you're maybe they're keeping you from, they're boycotting your stuff, or they're doing this or they're doing that. And they do that because to punish you, but also to sort of get you in line. They're doing that to sort of get Christians in line with the rest of the world. And the reason why we are able to withstand that is that, I was like, we have a whole different source of living than the rest of the world does. And that's how we're able to withstand it. And that is why people become Christians, because they realize that it's real. Because you shouldn't be able to, after everyone has stopped talking to you and no one is supporting you and everybody is, cutting you off financially, economically, and all these other ways, you should die. You should be gone. You shouldn't flourish at all. So the fact that you're able to causes people to go, it's really true. Like, it shouldn't be able to exist. It's the Spirit of God, and it's the Spirit of God, like in all ways. It's not just, he provides miracles. He's you're not allowed to go to the hospital. Okay, well, God's going to heal you. Oh, you're a slave and you're not allowed to make a living and get your life from these other things. Okay, he's going to give you life. He's going to give you joy. He's going to give you peace. You're not allowed to, it's the Roman Empire and you're being tortured. It's like, he's going to give you everything you need to go through that process. He's going to take the fear away. He's going to take, all of these things away. And so all of these, we see these times, and it becomes very clear when there's some type of persecution that we are running on a different system. And that's basically the only proof that we should be relying on. It's not us being super nice, because the world could be super nice. It's not us, out charitying the rest of the world, because the world can do charity too. And I wrote down like the things that the world runs on, just so you can understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so even when the world is functioning at its highest function, and we're talking about large swaths of people, cities, big populations, what is it running on? It's still running on, you got to make money, you got to live, right? So you got to get up, you got to go to work. It's running on money. It's running on pleasure seeking. It's running on ambition. It's running on, you don't want to get caught breaking the law. Like, who wants to go to jail? Nobody. So it's running on control. It's running on people doing status things, and vanity, and belonging to the club. That's at its best. That's what's motivating people to do stuff. At its worst, it's fear, hatred, intimidation. Um, you know, just so that's the stuff that the world runs on ultimately. And none of that stuff is what the Spirit is. The Spirit just gives you life. He just gives you life. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing. This surpasses any other thing. And you obey God out of love. And if you've never felt or had an approximation of this feeling of the Spirit, and you just are being a Christian because goals, because I don't know, because it sounded like sensible, it seemed to make the most sense, which it kind of goes out of its way to not be that thing, so you can't join that way. But, when you move in the flesh, and you got a lot of churches moving in the flesh, and then you get into persuasive argument territory, which, we love apologetics or whatever, defend the faith, blah, blah, blah. But when you rely on getting your argument and your your effective speech as impeccable as it is, and you end up creating converts from that, it's going to cause confusion later. It's jacking up the system because the Spirit is just wanting you to walk by the Spirit. Like, we can do, if you're gifted in that and whatever, he's going to use that, or maybe that's what that is him using that. But the point is so that people know that you don't need any of those things for this thing to function and run, because you have the Spirit. And the other thing that I was going to say is let me finish my point, because I think this ties more to what I'm saying already. So we have to be careful, because what has happened, and I think this can happen in every generation, in every lifetime, there's plenty of time, plenty of downtime for this to get switched, and something that may have started out in the Spirit or started out spiritual slowly turns fleshly, because we live in our fleshly body. The things of the Spirit and things of the flesh are sort of coexisting, and you will inadvertently switch one for the other. Maybe not knowing, usually not knowing. And then the problem with that is then now you're not knowing that you have switched the things of the Spirit for the things of the flesh. Because like I just mentioned, all of those things that the world runs on, those things bring about results too. So, and listen, you can have a church run on money, run on approval, run on vanity, run on status and control and fear of penalty and pleasure seeking and selfish ambition. And you can have on all the bad stuff, the intimidation, the hatred, and the fear. So the things that run the world can run a church too. Like, I think everyone has probably seen some of that. But so just because it is running doesn't mean it's walking in the Spirit, obviously. So, the things that are in the Spirit, can something be in the Spirit and not function? I don't know. I don't think so. But I would much rather have something that was walking in the Spirit and not functioning than something that was walking in the flesh and functioning. If you're catching what I'm saying there. Like, I don't care how well it functions. If it's fleshly, I'm backing away slowly, because y'all are in trouble. Because now y'all don't even know that it's not right. And if anybody tries to come and tell you, it's like you can't even hear it. It's a very dangerous place to be, because now it's like, at least the people that are in the world know they're in the world. They know that all that stuff is not of God. like, and they are avoiding the stuff of God. You are in the church thinking the stuff is of God, and it's not. It's run on vanity, approval, money, status, control, all of these things. Um, and I think part of the problem is that, aside from the fact that this is just a tendency, and it's a tendency that we really need to. This might be like the number one thing. I don't know if it's just like for the time that we're living in or just in general. This might be the number one thing that we have to watch out for. Beyond, I don't know, demons, or I don't even what do churches worry about? Um, Wrong theology. I mean, for sure. This is what you need to be worried about. You need to be worried about if your church is walking in the flesh or in the spirit. And then, so that's me talking about that is just giving you like practically what it does look like. But what does it look like for it to be in the spirit and not the flesh? Does it look the same? Well, I don't know. I know that no, it doesn't. I mean, it's not going to, because, and that's part of what we have the Bible for, because it's like, what looks successful? What is the Spirit doing? And the Spirit, this is just me talking out of personal experience. And just like when you read the Bible, it's like the Spirit is going to give you something specific to do. It's going to be in increments. It's going to be probably small, insignificant looking. It reminds me a lot of just running a household and being a wife that runs a household. It's like every day, there's meals to be made. I spend a lot of time anticipating what I'm going to make, what I'm going to make next, and then what I've made. And, it takes up a lot of your brain space. It seems like, it's like, well, everybody's got to eat. And some days it's like, can we just it gets excessive. It's like, this is just pickling my brain, because it's 3 meals for people. It's like, how did this become my life? It's just me just having lunch, being the lunch lady. But then over time, it's like, oh, I've formed the nutrition and the palate of these 3 healthy people that are now adults. And, it's just like, that's not what incentivizes people in the world. It's like, if you do this long enough, you're going to get money, you're going to go to the next level, you're going to have this, you're going to have that. That is what makes people do what they do every day. What makes me do every day, what I do every day, is that it needs to be done, and somebody's got to do it. And, what's for dinner? What's for dinner? What's for dinner? And you want to jump out of a window. And, did God tell you to do it? Yeah. And then sometimes I do feel like God's influence. Like, I was going to leave this whole thing about like how I was struggling with just being lazy, and just, I've always been lazy, and I'm sure I've said it like multiple times, and just being like not a clean person. Like, I just don't have the mindset of like, this is what it means to be clean, and I want to be a clean person. And it's just like, struggling with that, and just like, okay, housewife is probably like the worst job for me, because it's just like, I don't like, none of this is my jam. I'm just not good at it. And, recently, like a couple of weeks ago, it just was really breaking me down. I was just like, this is really affecting my life. It's affecting relationships. It's just sad. And, I've talked to God about it before, but this particular time I was literally like, listen, you got to change me. You got to, because I can't I just, whatever. I was just being like really pathetic and pitiful in my car and just crying about it. And, and then like, I don't know, it was the next day, I think I was, like in the kitchen and, I go through phases. Like, I get at best, I can go do like a fit, go through a fit and then stop. And, maybe have a good 6 month window or a good whatever. And then usually I'll get derailed by some event that happens to me, like, or something that happens. Oh, we have to move or whatever. Or, oh, we have a thing we all have, like anything that disrupts the thing, then the whole thing just goes, just like crumbles. And I feel like, and it's super stressful and stuff. Well, anyway, I was just like, in my kitchen, and I was like cleaning up stuff. And I had recently bought this stuff. Like I will get motivated. Like I find things to motivate me. I have like this whole system set up. So I get motivated when I find something that cleans really well, or a good vacuum or a good this. I'm like, yes, I'm going to do this all day. So I like to like find things that motivate me. And I just recently found this cleaner. Please go get it. It's called the Pink Stuff. It is the best. It cleans everything. So I did just have that, but slightly related, but not really, because I bought that like slightly before this happened. And I was cleaning and I was listening to something, and I was like, I want to clean this thing, or I don't know. I just decided I was doing the dishes, and then like some of the big stuff I'll just hand wash or whatever. And I was listening, and I was like, looked down, I was like, yo, I'm still, why am I still cleaning? Okay, what, praise the Lord. And I was whatever. And then I looked down, and I like had a brush in my hand. I was like cleaning a spatula. And I was like, why am I cleaning a spatula? Because like I would put that in the dishwasher. Like, that's weird. It's like, whatever, Lord, hallelujah. So it's like, and then I was like going around the house. I was like, there's stuff I need to do. So I was going around the house, and it was like, I set my mind to do stuff that needed to be done. But then it would be like, I would just like be in my brain, and I would like, and then I would be in a room, and I was like, why did I come to this room? And I would look down, and I was like, oh, I need this and I need this too. And I would like leave. And then I did that like 2 or 3 times. And I'm like, are you cleaning for me right now? Are you cleaning for me right now? Like, I was blown away. I was like, are you serious? I had no idea that he could do that. I just didn't know. Like, I know that he can cure your like drug addiction, and that he could do like all of this stuff. But like, this is like it wasn't, it was important, but it was like, I didn't know that. Sometimes I would go through my life and I would just be like, maybe this is like to humble me, because it's just like, it was so like, yeah, you're a slob. Especially like when the kids got, when I had 3 infants or whatever, it's just like you go through these things in your life. And, I was just like, I don't know, maybe this is just to keep me from being like super whatever. And because I don't have that inner motivation. I'm like, oh, people are coming over. I want to make sure that I put it, like, I have a good impression. I'm just like, it's not like I'm just like, I don't care what they think. It's like, so I literally don't have a sense that people are judging me and stuff like that. Like, I just don't. And I'm just assuming everyone's house looks a mess or whatever. Like, I never got that gene of like, oh, we got to clean up, or we got to make sure that, because a lot of that is like, women, that this woman's going to judge you. It's like, I don't have any, like when I go to people's house, I'm not like, let me help this person so I look helpful. Like, I don't. It's like, if people don't ask me to do it, I'm just not going to do it. Like, it's a whole thing. I just got this whole inner thing that isn't there. So, so when that happened, I was like, after a while, I caught the gist. I was like, God is doing this. Because it wasn't me. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. I can't. And I was just like, I would like literally like come to myself and have like a brush cleaning a fork or something. I was like, dude, hey, I didn't know this was part of the package. If you want to just do this, like, I just got super holy. I got super holy in that moment. I was like, oh, hallelujah. Like, your will be done. I was like, you're going to do it. Like, your will be done for real. Like, if you're going to do it, oh my gosh. I literally didn't know that was an option for me to do. Like I have talked to God about it before, and like the first time the first like real time that I did that and it happened, it was like I got this thing. It was like I clicked on this video and it was all about like how to like put your day in order. It was like how much time do you truly have in a day? And it was like it like clicks on this like, oh my gosh, I can do everything I need to do. And I did that for a while, and then it something interrupted it, and then I was really really sad about it because it was like I could not get it back because it was like really stressful what happened. And then I think it was like before we moved into our house, so it was like that whole thing was stressful, getting everything done for the house and to get our house ready to sell and getting a new house. It was just like then it just like crumbled, and I was really sad because I really wanted to keep that. And our house is like triple the size of our house before, so it's just like whatever. But anyway, so yeah, so that was the last time. But this time, I was like, well, what's different between what I asked for then and what I asked for now? Because it really does seem like it has something to do with how you ask, and it does. But I think this was like, I don't know, I was just like literally like not like, okay, Lord, like show me what to do. Like the first time, I was really just like breaking my pride down. It was just like, okay, if you've got something for me, like please tell me. And this time was just like, I don't have anything. It was pure weakness, pure just utter weakness and not knowing what to do. And more of that, I think we need more of that. So that was almost a month ago. That was almost a month ago. It was what? It was a week, literally like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I remember specifically because it was Wednesday, because we do a certain thing on Wednesday. And so what was Thanksgiving? Like the 22nd or something, 24th? So it was like whatever the week before that. So it's been almost a month and it's still there. Like, and it's not about it being there. It's like the way that it works is like I still have to like implement it, but now I find like he'll give me things to do and things that I just do not want to do. Like, and I feel like it's like I have this thing in me. Like he'll be like, okay, now we're gonna go like sweep the chimney. He wouldn't tell me to do that, but he'll be like, we're gonna sweep the chimney. I'm like, oh my god, because it's like that part of me is still there. Like me is still there, but it's like if he is telling me to do it and I go to do it, I know that he will take it over. So he's teaching me this through keeping a house, not through ministry, not through being a missionary, not through healing somebody in a crowd of people, just doing this. And I'm like, now I'm wanting to do it just so I can hear him and interact with him and know what that feels like and know and like all that stuff. So if I can make myself go, oh my God, if I can make my flesh do that like 3 times in a day, like, I feel like that's a good day. So let me tell you what happened on Thanksgiving. I got to tell somebody about this. Let me tell you what happened on Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving happens, turkey, whatever, whatever, your kitchen, right? After Thanksgiving. Well, we were going on a trip the next day because my husband wanted to go see his family. So the idea was like, have the clean kitchen. Like I didn't even really I just was dreading all of this stuff that I know probably needed to happen. It's like, I got to get this set up before we leave. I got to get the kitchen, everything, whatever. And then whatever we're taking with us, I got to do all that. I was in my kitchen after Thanksgiving. Shout out to my cousin for helping me clean up, straighten up right after she came over and left and straightened up my kitchen a lot. But still, the food was everywhere. It had to be packed up. Things had to be clean. Things were still in the sink. You know what I mean? I was in my kitchen probably about 2 hours at least. I was on my feet. I could feel the fatigue in my feet. Did not matter. I was totally coasting while being this other person that the Holy Spirit has just caused me to be. I cleaned my entire kitchen, cleaned it up. And the entire time I was cleaning it, all I was doing was I was in my body. I was in here, and I was going, just thinking about all the different ways that I could tell the story of me cleaning what I was doing right then, which is cleaning my whole kitchen. I cleaned my kitchen. I broke down my turkey. I put up the turkey. I saved the turkey broth and put it in the freezer. I saved the turkey carcass for a soup. Who are you? Not me. I don't know who that was. But I was writing. I was in here. I offered my limbs up to do it and it got done. I'm telling you, there was no fatigue. There was no like, why is this even necessary? Like my flesh is going on and just like making it horrible. Like, because the very act of me getting up to do it meant that I believed that God was going to help me do the rest. And He did. And I watched myself from my body clean my entire kitchen, spick and span, like Thanksgiving. I'm telling you, it never happened. Thanksgiving never happened. I was in there for 2 hours, and the whole thing looked like just normal Joe Schmo day. And like had someone come and clean the kitchen. That's what it looked like. And I was like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm healed. It was like, no, I am a weak person who cannot do this. I can't do this. And God came, and it's literally like, this is a way for us to hang out. This is a way for us to hang out. Like, the longer I do this, the longer we're hanging out, because you are absolutely here. I'm not here. Like, I'm here, but I'm not doing this. So literally, it's like, just the thought, I was so taken with it when I first realized that it was happening, and because it was so perfect. Like, He literally was leading me into a room, and I'd be like, and then I would look, and there's, oh, I need this, and I need this, and I need this. It was like efficient. It was like, this isn't even me. So it was just like, God is here with me, doing this with me. So now I just do it because I know that He's there. I know that He's there because He can't not be there. So I literally do it so that we can hang out. And if it seems too easy, I'll be like, is there something like, and then He's like, take all the rugs and put them in the washer. I'm like, ah, and He's like, there it is. Now we're doing something. And we're hanging out. So we talk a lot about like crucifying the flesh. And we literally, you got to crucify the flesh. And everybody's sort of, I don't know. I think the code for that for most people is like, giving up your TV show, getting off social media and, not eating bacon. And it's like, dude, it's not just that. That's part of it. You're getting the gist. But look at this system. Look at this system that the world runs on. And this is not like, ooh, you're in your extra spiritual era right now. No, you need to be walking in the weakness. Like I just, laid out. It's like, I can't do this. And that never changed. He didn't give me the things to become the person to do this. I take my weak self in the kitchen and He comes to me. I would like to maintain my weakness so that can happen every single day. Because if He just gives me what I need, then it only happens once, and then I don't need Him anymore. So weakness, submission, humility, repenting, grief, suffering, hardship, forgiveness, and it's not that these things are spiritual. It's that these things, they're so opposite from the flesh. And I found a really great verse in Romans 8:5. I can't click on it because I'll mess up my video, but it says something like, having your mindset when you walk in the flesh, you have your mindset on what the flesh desires. And when you walk in the spirit, you have your mindset on what the spirit desires. So it's like walking in these things and doing the suffering and the hardship sets your mind on what the spirit desires. It's not that the spirit desires your suffering or your submission or your weakness. It's just that doing those things is the opposite of what your flesh is, and it will cause your mind to be set on what the spirit desires, and you will walk in the spirit. When you do things of the flesh, you'll walk in the flesh, and your mind will be set on what the flesh desires. So to reset that, you got to do the opposite of being vain. You got to have humility. You got to do the opposite of pleasure seeking. You have to suffer. You know, there's a ministry right now, a very popular ministry now that's blowing up, that's imploding from the inside from, this, that, allegations and whatnot. And, we need to realize that these churches are not God. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm saying they're not of God. I'm saying if you're walking by the Spirit, like, and I know people are in those ministries and they're affected personally by these, but you know what? They need to be affected personally by these. And they need to have grief. And they need to have repentance. And they need to have forgiveness. And they need to have humility. And maybe that involves humiliation and weakness. This only good can come from these things if you are walking in the Spirit. Only good can come from a blown up church if you're walking in the Spirit. We shouldn't be fearing the loss of that's the flesh. Oh, we lost a ministry. Oh no. Oh, I posted something from that guy, from that pastor that's now disgraced. Oh, let me go and scrub my links. Like, bro, leave them up. If you want to know practically what I'm telling you, leave them up. Not, oh, it doesn't matter. Just do what brings about the flesh crucifixion. And I guarantee you it's the opposite, probably whatever you're thinking you need to do. So, let God destroy you. Let God destroy you. If you're already destroyed, stay destroyed. Like, don't even let God build you up. Don't even let God build you up. Stay destroyed and let God come and help you every day. Let God come and have to feed you and have to do things for you every day. Ask him for that. That it should be our posture. And I did a little Bible study. I was talking a little bit earlier about like taking these things from the Word and looking them up, and like in real life and seeing what they actually are, and how this will help you, keep you out of just following the words of men and stuff like that. It's like if you need to research something, look up what the Bible is telling you and look up, these things. Don't just read them and not know them. And so that revelation that I had about how, Christians, we are given this whole different way of surviving outside of the world system, that the scripture that came to my mind was, when Jesus tells the woman at the well, like, I can give you rivers of living water, or out of your belly will flow rivers of living water. And so I was like, this concept, I was like, that's basically what we're talking about, is having a river of living water. But I got curious about it because I was like, well, what did God say about this in the Old Testament? Like, how did he sort of coach the people in the Old Testament, tell them to do sort of the same thing? It's like, how did they do that? If this was something that Jesus was able to do, it was like, come to me and I'll give you this. And so I started to do a Bible study, and I was like, well, how do I look up? I looked up well, because it was like, it says something about like, the well that doesn't run dry or whatever. So I looked up well, and I was like, that's not the right term, because it was bringing up all types of stuff. It's like about literal wells. So then I was like, living water. Maybe I'll look up living water and see if it exists before the New Testament, if he talks about living water in the Old Testament. And wouldn't you know it, I found a reference to living water in the Old Testament. There was one in, I think it was Zechariah, but it was a prophecy about the future. And then there was one in Jeremiah, and it said something about these people. I should have my physical Bible with me. These people, it was like they sinned against me. Committed two sins against me. It was like they've abandoned, um, you know, the living water, which, was himself. He called himself God. The Father called himself living water. And they have built cisterns, broken cisterns that don't hold any water. And I was like, okay, what's a cistern? Like, for the first time, I was like, show it to me, Google. And so I started Googling what a cistern was. And it's basically like, it's just a thing that you put outside. Like, the one that I saw one that was like an ancient one. They have ones now that literally are called cisterns, and they're like plastic. You can put them in the ground or whatever. And then they showed like the ancient ones that it's like a trough or something that you put outside. And then it was like, well, but it's a broken cistern. And then I thought, well, what's the difference between a cistern and a well? So then I was looking up the well, and the well draws from the actual flowing water. So you have to like use a pump or something to draw from the living water that exists. So it's not the same as a cistern. A cistern is a container that just holds water, like standing water. So I'm going, okay. So what he's saying is like, it's like there's a river of flowing water. It's good to drink. You can drink it. Like, you just got to come and get some water from it. It never runs dry. It just is a living water, but it's like, it's natural. It's flowing. Um, it's not something you can really control. The well is probably the closest thing to, it's something that does hold water, but it doesn't even really hold the water. It just, you draw from it. You drill down into where the water is. So the water is underneath the ground, and you have to get down to where the water is and draw it up. But a cistern, just, you pour water into it, and it either sits there, because the cistern, like the functional part of the cistern was that, the water can be in the sun, it can get warm, it's better for gardening because cold water, shocks the roots and all this stuff, right? But the point is, the two sins were that they stopped using the living water completely. So they stopped using God as the source. And then the second one was they built their own cisterns that were broken and didn't even hold the water. So it was just constantly leaking out. I don't know. It was just clearly an inferior system. So the common theme seems to be this river of living water, the natural resource, God being the natural resource. And then in the New Testament, the Holy Spirit being, being the metaphor for the natural resource. And it's like we use our own system. It's like, well, we can shut this on and off. We can just leave it in our house. We don't have to go down to the whatever. This is something we can control. And are they both water? Yeah, I guess. But one is bringing life and the other is just coming out of your tap. It's like, it just comes out of the tap. It's fine. It's like, well, but it's going to kill everybody. Like, because it's like that seawater, like, it just made me think, oh, so seawater is like, it's not just because it's salt. It's like literally like, it's standing water. It's just big. It's not like a flowing spring. Like, that's why it's, you can't drink it. It's just a big, 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 big house for marine life that goes on and on and on and on. But if you don't have any water on that thing, you're going to die because it's just a big pool. Like, without, there's not enough chlorine to make it clean. So yeah, I was just looking that up. So yeah, it's like, you think that, well, this makes more sense, and this is going to be more functional, and this is going to, it's, instead of going down to this river and it's primitive and it's this and it's that and it's dangerous, you could fall into or whatever. Let's make our own system that looks more like what everybody else is doing or whatever, or it's convenient. We can manufacture this and we can bring it all over the world. It's like that's pretty scary. It's pretty scary when you think about it's not what God is doing. It doesn't matter how well it distributes all over the world. It's just like we have to walk in the Spirit. And my little testimony about God helping me with myself, and now that's been a month, almost a month. And it's not even about like how long does this last. It's like it lasts a day. It lasts a day, and then the next day I get up and I do the thing again. It's not about it. Well, how long is this phase gonna last? I'm pretty confident that I've gotten this new part because it's like, oh, I didn't know I could call on you for this, like this. Like I didn't know something about the context of it, and I was like, I don't have to worry about changing or becoming a better. It's like all I need to do is just pray to God, tell him what I intend to do. It's like when I go out and I'm like, oh, like I'm so, I don't know how to be around people. I don't say the right things. I don't. It's like, okay, well, Lord, just help me when I'm, go into this thing. Help me to just be edifying to people in the specific way that they would enjoy that. It's just like pray the good prayer, pray the prayer that you intend to do, and then let God do stuff through you. And your faith is going to the thing, because you wouldn't go if you didn't think he was going to be there and help you. And doing that the thing that's scary, the thing that you're like, it's like I'm trying to apply it to like when people are like, well, can you do this for me? And I'm like, oh, I'm the last person. I can't do anything I can barely do stuff for myself. It's like, perfect. That's the best place to be at. And just getting all that stuff out of my mind that the world is telling me. It's like, that is great. You start there. And then now anything you're doing now is because you have the faith to believe that God is going to do the rest. Because you can't. You're dreading doing it. Keep that energy. Do it anyway. Oh, wow. Gotcha. Oh my gosh, you said that thing. It's like, really? What? I did? Oh my God. So that's walking in the Spirit. It's being start there. Just be your weakest self. And then go, Lord, and just give him the I thing, because he knows what you mean by that. And then walk. And then walk. And that is what it is. And so I heard another thing really good about, where Jesus says, come to me, all that labor, and I'll give you rest. And it says, take my yoke upon you and learn of me. And it was talking about, an oxen being yoked, and how when you have a stiff neck, like it's when God says, my people are stiff necked, it's like the ox ends up making a working situation incredibly hard when they have a stiff neck, when they're yoked and they stiffen their neck. It makes they're still having to do the work. It's doubly hard now because of the way that their posture is. And I was just like, that's so good. It's like we gotta be looking up these metaphors, people, because we would understand fully. Even if we don't do it ourselves, it's like now there's enough information, there's enough YouTubes, we can understand the context of what God is telling us, because it's thorough. It's not just like, I'm gonna liken you to an animal right now. It's like, go research that animal, because that whole thing's gonna work in what he's trying to tell you. So anyway, I said everything I was going to say, but I don't know. I hope it was practical and, a little less exhortation and a little more practicality, I think, is what I was aiming for. So I hope I achieved that, and y'all go enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.